Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today I want to talk to you about the Warhammer Community Kill Team leaks. They're not leaks because they've been given to us, they're not rumours. Rules previews? I guess they're previews. Now, I haven't done it for a few days, so I actually want to go back to when they did their unboxing, first of all, which obviously they're just straight up stealing content from creators, because this is the zero effort content that I wanted to put out when I got the box. But there was something about this that I wanted to mention. The rest of this article, not worth reading, okay? We already know everything from this, but there is one thing to note, which is that they've shown us the sprue. And in the sprue, it's not letting me zoom in particularly well here. Let's see if I can. There, kind of. We can see the thing that I don't like about them, and the thing that I think a lot of people don't like about them, which is that for some of these models, the heads, like the habits, are molded onto the body. Not for all of them, it seems. Now that I think for all of them. Personally, I don't like the look of the habits. I would rather just have the standard Sister of Battle helmet. I think the habits look bad. Like, look at this. It's not for me. It's not for me. But whatever. That's my only kind of big negative. Aside from that, I like the sculpts. The rest of this article, completely pointless, so we can move on from that. Oh, there's nothing really to say about the Pathfinder set. I think the Pathfinders look cool. Like this little thing here, this is the only addition to the Pathfinder sprue. There's a lot of stuff here. There's a bionic arm, there's the grenade, there's a guy standing on a rock. I don't know why they decided to give us this rock leg. I don't know what that adds to things, but whatever. Yeah, there you go. And there's just a whole bunch of weird things. I think it is interesting, like, I don't know why, but why do we have more of these little twiddly bits to put on heads? I always found them, like, optional at best. But okay, cool. You know why? Because, as I think about it, it's because, isn't it? What they're doing for Kill Team is they are giving us equipment. So if something is equipment, then they give us the option to model it on the model, even though we don't have to do it. We can do it if we want to. So I assume there's going to be some sort of advanced comms thing. Cool. Now let's get to what we really want to talk about. The Adepta Sororitas Novitiate. I've zoomed in way too far for this now. Okay. Cool. Right. Let's go. So I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm just going to dive to the rules, okay? Which means I will probably miss stuff. Let's start with the Novitiate Superior. Now, standard stuff. 8 wounds, 3 up save. So this is a standard battle system leader as well, which is good to know. I think it's also safe to guess that the way this is set out, you can either take a pistol and a power weapon, or you could take a bolt gun and a gun butt. Cool. This is pretty standard, but let's read her lead by example rule. Each time this operative is activated, if it performs any mission actions, or if any enemy operatives are incapacitated as a result of any actions it performs during that activation, you can select one ready friendly Novitiate operative visible to and within red of it. After this operative's activation ends, you can activate that operative. Cool. So essentially, if you do something good with this model, you can do, you make it GA2, basically, which is cool. Now, I think what we've seen in the past is that most leaders either have, like, they all have something a bit funky. So I believe we're going to have most things be either, like, this model becomes GA2, or this model can give APL 1, plus 1 APL to other models. This is the GA2 version. Cool. And there was one thing I really wanted to hit home on here. Let me zoom in a little bit so that you guys don't have to squint. There we go. So I think this is cool. I think this is cool. I think all of these are cool, right? This Canoness, she's not a Canoness, and the Novitiate Superior, she looks acceptable, okay? She's like, yeah, you know, Sister of Battle, cloak, armor, cool. 3 up save. Whereas from what we've seen so far, the rest of the models don't have 3 up saves, but 3 up save. This model here, I don't know exactly what she is, because we haven't seen her yet, but this helmet is genuinely stupid, and I don't want to have this helmet on my model. Right? Like, looking at the Sister of Battle range, you know, there's the, is it the Exorcist model, where like the driver has like just straight up a church on their head? I can just about get behind that, right? It's silly, it's grimdark, fine. This just looks bad. Anyway, there you go. Like, this looks worse than the habits. I would rather they all have a normal habit than this dumb helmet. Okay. She better have really good rules, that's all I'm saying. Then we see the Novitiate Exactor. Now, we have seen this before, but obviously, perhaps now you're watching this again, you are a little bit more savvy on the rules, you know. People are learning the rules at a very fast pace at the moment because, you know, as you get 1 or 2 more games in, you are kind of, what's the word, where you're exponentially better than you were before, because we're still such a new game. But as I was saying above, with the lead by example rule on our Novitiate Superior, let's zoom out again, there you go. That's the GA2 version of buffing somebody nearby. This, as we've already known, is the APL plus APL version to anybody nearby. So I suspect, you know, we don't know if they're going to go more like the Veteran Guard, where you can, no, they've already said you take 10. You take 10 models, and we've seen there are only 10 sculpts. But with the option to swap out the custom ones to be standard autogun ones. That's the assumption at the moment, yeah. So in theory you could drop this one here, the essentially who I'm going to guess is the comms version. That's the standard comms buff. For just like a standard autogun. Don't do that. You want the AP, obviously. Even though you're then neural whips. Now we look at the neural whips, okay? Let's have a think about this. So this is a melee model essentially. It's fine, right? So 5 up, 2, 3, lethal 5 up, done. It's not bad until you look at 7 wounds. Now, how are sisters going to get around having 7 wounds in melee? Because this is the really odd thing. You see all of these swords lying around? I don't really want to be in melee with a 7 wound model. So how do we get around that fact? Okay, and like autoguns, what are they? They're a 2-3 weapon. Hitting on 3s, 2-3 weapon. I mean, what? Why? You know, that's not good. Anyway, let's keep going. So we'll talk about that in a moment, obviously. Penitent Eviscerator, very nice, very nice. Look at this bad boy. Damn, 4 attacks, 4 ups, damage 5-6, brutal, reap 2. Now, this is going to be a bit of a swingy weapon. Only having 4 attacks hitting on 4s means on average you get 2 hits. That means a single model going into you with a stun weapon or a shield, you do nothing to them on average. You know, this is... But damage 5-6 is really strong. Like, that's... As a power weapon, for example, is a 4-6. Up here, power weapon 4-6. This one down here, 5-6. Now the difference between a 5-6 and a 4-6 is pretty important against certain enemies. Let's assume we don't roll any 6s because on 4 dice you won't, statistically I think. Which means you are rolling 5s, you're doing 10 damage as opposed to a power weapon's 8 damage. Assume you roll normals. So what is that killing here that it isn't killing there? What has 10 health but doesn't have 8 health or 9 health? Orcs. That's it. Does anything in the game have 9 health? I mean, I think, yes, leaders do. So leaders for Eldari, they have 9 health because the standard Azayani have 8 health. So the leaders have 9. That's it. And then orcs have 10 health. So, I just wanted to point that out. So, a 5-6 looks like, oh, that's a big damaging weapon. But actually, I'd probably still rather have a power weapon for the lethal 5 up And the only time this becomes really, really strong is when you are getting to splash that Reap 2. And then presumably, as we're about to read in Acts of Faith here, maybe there's a way to have inbuilt rerolls so that you can get closer to ensuring you hit that Reap 2. What is Reap 2 going to do for you? So Reap 2, you've got to think about who is that good against. Okay, so you're looking at teams of 10 plus models where you're going to reliably get splash damage. You can't reliably guarantee you'll get splash damage on a charge below 10 model teams, I'd say. So what teams have 10 plus models? Again, we're really looking in the 7 and 8 wound range, which takes them from 7 or 8 down to 5 or 6. Suddenly, at 5 or 6, you hit them with 1 Reap. What can you then kill them with at 5 or 6 wounds? You can start actually killing them with autoguns. There you go. Anyway, right, let's move on. Acts of Faith. These are just things you need to think about, okay? You just need to consider, when is Reap 2 actually good, okay? Reap 2 sounds super cool, but is it? In certain situations, yes. Okay, right. Acts of Faith. Now, Acts of Faith, I am just going to read to you because there's a lot here. So I'm not going to try and summarize it because I'll forget something. Keep a pool of faith points. At the start of each turning point, if there are any friendly Novitiate operatives in the kill zone, you gain 3 faith points. In addition, you gain 1 faith point at the end of an activation if any of the following apply. During that activation, a friendly Novitiate operative with the combat specialism oh, sorry, right, these are all narrative things. So, you start, each turn you get 3 faith points, plus your 1 command point, okay? This is like an additional set of command points, essentially. And then we see 2 of their acts of faith here. We can assume they have more than 2, but we have no idea how many. We see here Faithful Blessing 1 faith point, Guiding Light 2 faith points. Maybe they just have 1 more, which is 3 faith points, and that's it. You use 1 of the 3, or as many of the 3 as you need. Okay. When a friendly, so for this is 1 of your 3 faith points a turn. When a friendly Novitiate operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice or roll defense dice step of that combat or shooting attack, reroll 1 of your attack or defense dice. This act of faith can be used more than once in each activation and can be used with other acts of faith. Cool, so we see there's a little clarification here. Can be used with other acts of faith, whereas Guiding Light doesn't have that. Don't know what that means exactly. Can we only dip into our acts of our faith pool once per turning point? Once per operative? Don't know. Or once per window where you can use an act of faith. This is just a reroll. Somebody did point out that this is worded terribly. This is a very redundant, huge, weird sentence. Like they've added in like 2 extra lines that legitimately don't need to be there. But we're going to ignore that. Basically, when you make a combat or shooting attack, you can reroll an attack or defense dice. But this is when you make an attack. So you could never reroll the defense dice. This is very strange. There you go. Guiding Light. 2 faith points. 2 of your 3. When a friendly Novitiate operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, retain 1 of your failed hits as a successful normal hit. Okay. So that is when are we thinking about that? We're looking back up at our Penitent Eviscerator for this kind of thing. You're hitting on 4s, you're not particularly accurate, you only probably have 7 health. Do you care about changing 1 miss to a hit? Probably not. But if you are able to change, if you have more of these acts of faith, maybe you can change a miss to a crit. Or a normal to a crit. And then I was going to say, can you stack them? But no, because Guiding Light doesn't contain the, can be used with other acts of faith. So I was going to say maybe you can pull your faith points use Guiding Light because you missed, and then use another one if it exists to turn that normal hit that you've just Guiding Lighted into a crit, guaranteeing that you can get a crit with every attack. I mean, you only have 3 points, but whatever. Anyway, interesting. Let's keep going. Yes, there are plenty of other acts of faith, so we know there are more. Right, then we get to equipment. Now, I quickly want to interrupt my reading of the WarCom article here to just quickly say, I actually really like this article. I should have said this at the beginning, shouldn't I? No, so I really like this article, and the reason that I really like this is because when I was really into X-Wing, and I was following Fantasy Flight Games and the way that they kind of teased things, they showed you everything that was in the box, and they gave you the majority of the rules, but they held back like one thing, like one critical thing that meant you couldn't actually play with that expansion yet. But they gave you a little, they gave you a lot, they gave you a little bit of everything. And I liked that, because it teased you enough so that you could start thinking about things, but then just stopped you, right? And it was really good. Basically, they never showed the movement dial, if you care. So similarly, here, they're giving us a little bit of everything. I think they could actually go a step further and give us a little bit more of everything, because so what we've seen so far from all of the teams is that when it comes to the ploys, you get 6. When it comes to equipment, I haven't seen less than 6. Some have more than that. I think all of the bespoke teams have 8 or more, and they're showing us 1 and then 2. I feel like equipment, they could just give us a few more bits. Like, there's no need to hold back. And likewise, they've only shown us 2 data sheets. There's no need. You can show us more. Like, it's fine. You know, when you're not breaking you're not stopping people from buying it by showing us more things, you know? Anyway, I liked how Fantasy Flight Games did that, and I like that GW is moving towards that way, realizing that, you know what, some people do buy their games because of the rules, and here are some of the rules. So, anyway, right, here's the one equipment piece. Auto Chastiser, cool idea. I wonder if this is going to be built into the sprue, like, oh, this would be a perfect thing for a cherub with a whip. Just, you know, they haven't shown us that, but that would be a cool thing. So, 1 equipment point. Gain the following ability for the battle, Auto Chastiser. Each time this operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack and roll attack dice step with that combat or shooting attack, you can reroll any or all of your attack dice results of 1. If any of your reroll dice also result in 1, that operative suffers 1 mortal wound. That's pretty cool. So it's optional. Firstly, that's how they do all of their rerolls in Kill Team. They finally fixed that horrible wording of reroll failed. You can just reroll everything if you want. Also note, this is worded correctly. When you're making a combat or shooting attack, you can reroll an attack. They had, unlike up here, where they've included you can reroll a defense dice, but you literally are never able to. So, odd, but okay. A little bit of proofreading required there, I think. And yeah, it kind of gives you a mini hot, which is cool, I think. I like that. And then you can think again, when would you use this? Now, this is, I think, actually a great thing to put on Penitent Eviscerator. Why? Because you want that 6 damage you're hitting on force. This means, on average, like, and you want that Reap 2 probably, you really want to be using this. You want to make sure this goes off. You want to hit those 6s. This allows you to do that, and as I was just saying, it's no longer reroll failed. This is just reroll. What does that mean? That means you can reroll hits. That means, hey, I know I haven't done enough damage to kill you. I've hit you, I'm doing 10 damage, but you're a Marine, you have 11. That means you're going to be able to hit me back twice and kill me, whatever. Or you're a Primaris and you've got 12. Well, you know what? I'm going to reroll all of my dice and fish for crits. you can do that with this. Then we get 2 ploys. Use this tactical ploy when a friendly Novitiate operative is incapacitated. Each enemy operative within circle of, within white of and visible to that operative suffer. No, I'm sorry. It's a circle. It's not white. I know that the game was play tested using the colors, but it's a shape. It's circle. As I'm arguing with myself, I realise. Let's start that again. Use this tactical ploy when a friendly Novitiate operative is incapacitated. Each enemy operative within circle of and visible to that operative suffer 1 mortal wound, and you gain D3 faith points. Yeah, that's super cool. So this is dishing out mortal wounds. Like, this is actually, they've called it Glorious Martyrdom. They could have called it Suicide Bomber, because that's what this is. Which is, let's not think too hard about that. But yeah, so, cool, people take mortal wound and you gain D3 faith points. This shows us firstly, or mainly, like, mortal wound, cool, but faith points. There are potentially other ways to gain faith points than just 3 a turn. Do you have to always lose a model to gain faith points? Don't know. But faith points. Then a Aegis of the Emperor, 1 CP. Until the end of the turning point, each time an enemy operative within Pentagon... Actually, I hate that word. I'm going to say red for this. The rest are a shape, but this is red. Each time an enemy operative within red of a friendly Novitiate operative performs a psychic action, that enemy operative suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay. So let's have a think about what that means, right? So this is going to take effect so far, from what we know, on Grey Knights, 1000 Suns. They can only, so for Grey Knights, you can only cast a Psychic Power once a turn. This means you'd be taking 1 mortal wound, which would take you from 11 hit points down to 10. And it's costing you a CP. I'm really struggling to think when I would take this. Even against 1000 Suns, like, I don't want to say this is such a niche tactic, because that's good. Tactics should be niche. That's the point of them. You have tactics so that in the right circumstance you can spend your resources of CP to do a thing that is good for you in that situation. Unlike, for example, Bolter Discipline, which is a bad tactic because it's not niche. You can safely always use Bolter Discipline, right? Tactics should be niche. But this is... Let's just say, I hope that this is like an additional ploy that the sisters get, and not something that, like, they're balanced around, unless they're about to throw a heck of a lot more psychic into the game, I guess. Anyway, this has been my rundown of sisters. I'm going to be honest, so it says at the end here, they're giving us Tau Pathfinders tomorrow, and we're going to see some things from Markelites. I am way more excited about that than I am about sisters. Let's see how it goes, I guess. But, yeah. Cool, sisters. I mean, I've kind of already made the decision with myself that I'm buying all of these boxes, partly because it gives me terrain, because, for those that aren't in my Patreon, I said over there that after the LGT, even though I had a few issues with the way that was run, specifically regarding the Kill Team event, which were mainly my own fault, to be fair, I definitely came away thinking this has been really fun. I like the atmosphere. I like what's going on here. I would love to run my own tournament at some point. How do I do that? Well, I need to have like 20 boards of terrain. If I just buy all of these Kill Team boxes, like, I think I can already set up 5 boards on my own. this will make a 6th, and then within 3 months we'll have a 7th. I've basically kitted out half a tournament with my own terrain, which is terrifying. Let's not think about that. And so, yeah, regardless of what comes out, I am going to pick up all of these teams, all of these boxes, because also when I start doing more regular battle reports, it also means that I will have these locked and loaded, ready to go. I can do a different, proper, bespoke team every week or every day, whatever I end up doing. And so for me, these are auto buys because I'm making content out of them, and I think the variety adds to my channel. However, is this worth buying? Is Chalnath worth buying? Find out later, because I think I can't really say until after we see the Tau, and then in reality I can't really say till we actually see the box itself. So I'll obviously give that with my proper review whenever that turns up. But I would say that I think so far Chalnath looks significantly less good than Octarius in regards to value proposition. Anyway guys, this has been Glass Half Dead. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been vaguely interesting, and more importantly, actually, I suspect, I hope that this has been just nice to listen to someone talking about Kill Team, because you know what? I haven't made a video in like a week and a half, going on 2 weeks, and I have been listening to all the Kill Team content I can. I forgot his name. Oh, terrible. Average Wombat? Something? Who just turned the camera on and talked for 50 minutes straight. He's probably called Tabletop Wombat, I think. Damn. He went to the Warhammer World Tournament, basically. And he just turned the camera on and talked for 50 minutes. And I was just, like, yeah, I don't know. I just sat down and watched it. And, like, Jubilant Rich did the same. There are so many people just turning their camera on and talking. And I'm like, damn, I want to do that. Because that's the content I want to listen to at the moment. I have time at the moment to just listen to people ramble about Kill Team. You don't need to put, like, huge amount of edited work into Kill Team content. You could just talk. Like, Command Point did a tier list. I disagreed with a lot of it, but I just sat there and listened. I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, interesting. So, we need more Kill Team content. Just do it, guys, please. I need stuff to watch. And hopefully I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of that myself in the upcoming weeks. I'm going to call it long form content, but it's just me sitting down and chatting. It won't be that long. There will be a point to it, but it's just going to be much more unedited. Anyway, guys, this is Big Glass Half Dead. Thank you very much for watching. Facebook, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Cool. Bye. Oh, what do I say? I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.